What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-techno. And we're going to listen to a tune from the now defunct Project 303 label. It was one of Steve Mills' labels along with his Brain Gravy. I believe it was distributed by Flat Life, but it was part of the Stay Up Forever universe / collective. It went defunct roughly a decade ago, and indeed this release, the 4th out of 5, came out in 2015. As you can see, I have both the white label copy and a proper release of it. And it's a tune by Steve Mills and Sterling Moss. And Sterling is on, if not all of the 5 releases on Project 303, I know he's on at least 3 or 4 of them. And maybe my favorite track on the entire label is Sterling's Can You Feel the Acid, as well as Steve Mills' Acid Freaks Fuck on This. I know I reacted to Can You Feel the Acid. I have not yet reacted to Acid Freaks Fuck on This, though you can hear it in one of the live sets on my channel, the one at Acid Rain. So yes, ultimately I'll try to come back and react to that one soon because it's just as good. But this record, number 4 in the series, may not be fully on the level of the first 2 releases, which I think are the best 2 of all the 5. But this track, London Has Fallen to the Aliens, is as good as anything on the label. So yes, it's a very quality label. 5 releases overall. I think they're all worth owning, even if the first 2 I give the nod as the best in the bunch. And in fact, why don't we listen to it on the proper release, because I believe, let's see, it doesn't look too bad. I remember when I got this white label, it seemed to be a bit warped, and sometimes a warped record can give styli or the record needles problems because it might jump because of the uneven surface, though I don't remember it ever doing that. But just to be safe during the reaction so I don't have to redo a reaction based on a jumping needle, let's listen to the official release. And yeah, this is driving, it's wicked. It features acid work very much in the Steve Mills vein and percussion stylings that I associate with Sterling, so I think you can hear both of the producers on this one in terms of its sonic footprint. And yes, it has a cool sample. I'm guessing maybe it was recorded anew for the track. Now maybe it actually is taken from some old sci-fi movie where London had fallen to some alien invasion, but it feels like it's done in that style, but maybe recorded anew. That's my hypothesis, though if anyone out there knows the truth of the matter, do let me know. So here we go. This is Steve Mills, or actually it's listed with Sterling's name first. Sterling Moss and Steve Mills, and the track is London Has Fallen to the Aliens. It's awesome. It really does display both of their stylings merged into one, and I was even thinking that laser beam electromechanical attack sound, which really has a piercing quality, but in a good way. It has that techno dissonance to it. I feel like there's one or two other Sterling tracks I can think of where there's a similar type of sound, so maybe that was one of his contributions here. Again, I think the kick and some of the percussion is very much in Sterling's style. I think the acid work has that intense vibrancy to it that a lot of Steve's productions had. So yes, I love the way it all comes together. It reminds me of a lighter version of their track Electric Landlady, which I'm pretty sure I already reacted to. Indeed, I'm almost certain of it, because I think I remember folks commenting on it. Let me just make sure that's the case. But the point is, it reminds me of that tune a little bit, although that tune, yeah, see, I definitely did. Yeah, that tune has a bit more of a wicked quality to it, whereas this is jubilant and euphoric, even as it sounds chaotic and intense and dissonant. But, you know, the sample makes reference to these large metallic beings, which makes me think two things. One, that laser sound and some of the electric, live wire type of electromechanical electricity in the track feels like it's the audio output of these massive AI type of machines. So it feels like this invasion is from a powerful extraterrestrial force, but maybe one that is entirely electromechanical. It is an artificial AI species, which in turn brings me to the second reference that the comment or the sample about them being large metallic beings brings me to, which is that I associate this track with the third Mass Effect game. If you've ever played Mass Effect, the Ultimate Series antagonist are these billion-year-old AI ship-style creatures, which are... The lore about them is long and complicated, so I'll spare you that here. But they're these massive AI spaceship-type beings, and they shoot these like crazy lasers, and they have like insanely advanced technology. And in the third game, they bring all of their power to bear on Earth, and in particular they attack London, which is reduced to chaos and rubble. And so this track, because of that game, now there's this direct link in my brain that it's essentially, you know, a soundtrack to the chaos that befalls London in that game. But regardless of that connection, I think it does a good job of indicating the artificial intelligence, mechanical, metallic beings that are referenced in the sample, which once again, maybe that comes from an actual film, but my sense when I got this record, and even as I hear it now, it feels like it's a sample done in the style of a 50s, early 60s sci-fi movie, but maybe recorded anew, because it just sounds very crisp. Sometimes when you hear samples from things going way back, it just has this quality that, you know, it sounds like it was an older recording and so on, whereas this one sounds very, like, vibrant, you know, dry vocals and everything, although there is echo and things added to it. Nevertheless, I think it is a very well composed tune. It definitely sounds like a more modern acid-techno track, which again for me is not a knock. There's some folks in the acid-techno world that they like things that have that old, gritty, a bit dirty sound like a lot of 90s acid tunes, and I love that. Of course I do. That's what got me into acid-techno to begin with. But there is, to my mind, an equal place for tunes that have a bit more of a modern sound in terms of the polish of some of the productions. Now, don't get me wrong, if acid-techno was going fully polished and tame and commercial, then it would lose some of the essence of what acid-techno has been. But I don't think this is that. This is not the kind of tune you'd hear on the radio. This is not the kind of tune that most dance clubs or, you know, parties where they play like mainstream electronic dance music, you're not going to hear something like this. So I still think it retains the screaming, wicked character of vintage acid techno, but its production definitely sounds more modern. You can tell this is from 2015, not 1995, is I guess the point that I'm making. In any case, I think it's a top tune. I'll come back and react to Steve's Acid Freaks Fuck on this sometime soon, and I'll make the grammatical point that I always feel compelled to make when it comes to the way he phrased the title or the way he punctuated or not the title. See my review on Discogs if you're interested in advance. But yes, I'll come back and do that one soon. Let me know what you think of this, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.